2006, Karl Rove set the current high-water mark for White House hubris heading into a midterm election. 2 weeks before the vote, Rove scoffed at polling that suggested Democrats could retake Congress. The infamous quote was, "You're entitled to your math, I'm entitled to the math." In our third story, no Rovian bluster from the current White House. Instead, tightening Senate races, a new polling that suggests a third of likely voters could still be up for grabs, causing optimism tonight in the camp of President Obama. Richard Wolff, who joins me in a moment, writing today on the Daily Beast website, the White House is concerned there may be trouble in many of the House districts where their voter turnout operation is weak, but a senior aide to the president also saying they could do okay and better than expected in places like Illinois, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. The president's final campaign push will be in Illinois, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. A new Reuters Ipsos poll out of the Keystone State saying that race there tied Sestak and Toomey for Senate, 46 apiece. Toomey had led by 10 among likely voters in August. In Colorado, the new Denver Post Survey USA poll has the Democrat Michael Bennet now tied with his challenger, Tea Party Republican Ken Buck. Buck had been up by 5 3 weeks ago. In California, the leads that Democratic candidates continue to hold, telling the White House that fears of a Republican wave may be overblown. Overall, the White House believes it has been effective drawing contrasts between Democrats and their opponents, pointing out the role of secret money in the elections. Again, quoting a White House senior aide, the messaging has been working. It has started over the last couple of months to re-energize Democrats, to present this election as a very clear choice about moving this country forward or taking it back to giving free rein to the special interests. Joining me now as promised, Richard Wolff, Daily Beast columnist, MSNBC contributor, and author of the upcoming book, Revival, The Struggle for Survival Inside the Obama White House. Good evening, Richard.
Good evening, Keith.
The White House told you they have expectations. The quote was, they have the expectations exactly where we want them. What are the expectations, and what does that mean?
Well, if you're going to lose seats, lose a lot of seats in Congress, you really want to set the bar even higher for the other side and say that maybe on the other side of it that they didn't meet expectations. Now, clearly there's some gallows humor in here. This is a White House that would be much happier, a party that would be much happier if they were the ones who were picking up seats or at least holding on to their majorities. But when it comes to where expectations are for Republicans, they went up, they've come down, they have gone sky high again. If you're looking at the benchmark for Republicans now, I think many people would say it's 94, it's 54 seats. That's a lot of seats to pick up. So the White House is looking at the other side of this saying, well, the other side may have done well, but they didn't live up to where we all thought. And if this is their high watermark, then we're in good shape for 2 years' time. This
Associated Press poll, 1 in 3 likely voters fitting into the category of not firmly decided, when the number essentially 2 years ago tonight, more or less, was 1 in 7. Do they expect to be able to take much of that third of the electorate? And why don't we hear about this number?
Well, we don't hear about this number because a lot of people are making very firm predictions right now, and this is a very volatile election. As we're seeing in state by state, district by district, these numbers are moving. And, you know, with this a few days left, they could move either way. This is not really necessarily a grounds for optimism. This is something still to play for. This election is not fixed, but it could open up even further away from Democrats. I think the thing that the White House is clinging onto here is that there's still a lot Democrats have to work towards, because if they're not, these gaps could open up. Alternatively, the Republican gains could shrink quite dramatically in these last few days.
The election's not fixed. Don't tell Sharon Angle that. A little further west, the Suffolk University poll, Boxer by 9 today over Carly Fiorina, Jerry Brown by 8 over Meg Whitman, even before her inadvertent endorsement of Jerry Brown as governor in 1980. Why particularly is the White House pointing to the California numbers as a sign of a positive, obviously other than the effect in California?
Look at all the money that's been spent, all the attention on the race, and yet you have Democratic candidates who may not be the best candidates the Democrats could come up with, who are still way ahead. If this was the tidal wave, if this, again, is the high watermark, then Republicans are falling short because they should be much, much more competitive in a place like California. So I think what the White House is looking at is a mixed result, patchy results, where they can come out the other side and say, this isn't a sweep, we still have a glimmer of hope, we still have a path to going forward.
MSNBC political analyst Richard Wolff. As always, Richard, great thanks.
Thank you, Keith.